Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to Toe Tags Metal Reviews, and today we're giving you guys our first impressions of the new album from Between the Buried and Me called Colors 2. So, essentially the sequel to Colors 1, which came out in, I believe, 2007. I'm really hyped for this album because I love this band so much. We actually checked out this band for the first time on this channel when I gave Vile the great misdirect. And honestly, hindsight's 2020. I kind of wish I gave him Colors 1.
Yeah, that was before we knew Colors 2 was actually coming out, so...
Exactly. I mean, thinking about it now, listening to Colors 1 earlier today, I'm thinking, I think maybe he would like this more than he liked the Great Misdirect, but doesn't matter. That's in the past. But I am pretty excited for this album.
Yeah, I don't know about this band. I was basically brand new when we did the Great Misdirect. And after a week of listening to that album, I was kind of middle of the pack. I did kind of enjoy it for the most part, but I didn't fall in love with it. And as Stevie Fish said, maybe I would have liked Colors more, so maybe I'll like Colors 2 more. Well, at least I hope I do.
Keep in mind, we did react to Fix the Error, and that song is incredible. Yeah. We both enjoyed it a lot. There was another single they released, I forgot the name of it, but in the track listing, it's the one right before Fix the Error, and I liked that too. I kind of like Fix the Error a little bit more, but either way, I'm really looking forward to this. So
yeah, so am I.
We're gonna check out Colors 2 for the very first time in its entirety, and we'll be right back to give you guys our first impressions. So stay put. Alright guys, we just listened to Colors 2 for the very first time, and man, that was pretty damn good. So I guess I'll take the floor, and we always like to leave things off on a positive note, so I'll talk about, I guess, maybe the lesser tracks on this album for me. The lowest rated for me was track number 5, Never Seen Future Shock. And, the track wasn't really a bad track. It just kind of gave an example as to one of the kind of issues there might lie with this band, where there's very dense, there's a lot going on, but sometimes it doesn't feel like there's much substance to it. It kind of felt like there wasn't really much happening. The 7/8 bits were cool, I like the guitar there. But as they're going with the heavier stuff, I'm just like, a lot of the stuff the song was doing, even, form-wise, is pretty similar to stuff I've already heard from them on this record and other records. But I'm sure there's a good chance that song could even grow on me, But as for the upper end, there's 2 songs that tied with my number 1 score, and that was Fix the Error, the first single, and the last track, Human as Hell, another one with love. I'm going to talk about Fix the Error first, because Human as Hell, I got some things to say about that. Well, we'll get there. But Fix the Error, I think, is just a perfect song. I think the energy's crazy. It feels unique on the album. It's got this, very punk-esque kind of sound. I know you mentioned when we were listening it sounded like The Offspring.
It has vibes, right? That's the punk element.
The punk Offspring kind of vibe.
That's kind of my go-to when it comes to anything punk related, so that's where I get my fuel from there.
And one thing I love about it is that is how you do a drum feature.
Yeah.
When we checked out Atreus' album, they did it completely wrong. And these guys did it right. There's 4 different players playing drum solos on this track. One of them is Mike Portnoy. I think one of them is the guy from Animals as Leaders. I think I may have forgotten the third one, and then the fourth one is the drummer from this band. So just to have that much already is just insane. And that's only in this one kind of small track. But I also really like The Future is Behind Us. I really love the slick drum work in this syncopated groove. It's just very tasteful, really, really nice stuff.
That was the song with that weird chicka.
I think, yeah.
They just throw weird stuff in sometimes.
Honestly, I wrote very Haken-like, and Haken's done that too, where they've thrown in weird kind of samples like that.
True, yeah.
And I like how, it starts out kind of very melodic, and then it just gets heavier and heavier as the song goes. Now, as for Human as Hell. So, this is Colors 2, right? Essentially a sequel to the original Colors. And the original Colors, at the very end, has a track called Viridian and a track called White Walls. Viridian is an interlude. It really builds up the energy huge, and then it all explodes when you hear White Walls, which is like a 14-minute epic. And I wanted, when we put this record on, I'm like, I really hope they reference White Walls a lot. I really hope it would be awesome if they did like essentially a sequel to that, right? I'm like, if they did another kind of Viridian White Walls, I'd lose my shit. And that's exactly what they did with the last 2 tracks on this album. Track 11, I don't know how to pronounce this, Fumeto.
SFU. Umato.
Please.
Tomatoes. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever it is. It starts building up, and I can hear the rhythmic motif from White Walls, which was also present in Viridian. And I'm thinking, no way. Are they going to do it? Are they really going to do it? Human as Hell starts. They do the same shots they did from White Walls. I don't know if it was identical or if it was overall extremely similar. And I'm losing my mind. I'm like,
spiritual successor is probably more accurate.
That's probably, yeah. And I literally, my first note was White Walls 2. And I was going nuts because I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. In that song, I feel like they put their all into that song. You know, some of the other, a lot of the other tracks in this album are good, but I feel like they really put their most into Human as Hell because the grooves are nasty, the melodies are beautiful. There's a section that's kind of like a bluesy surf music kind of section, which is kind of cool. There's a really nice guitar solo near the end, and just a great outro. Just like overall, it's how you make a 15-minute epic track.
Yeah, I'm a person, if you guys watch this channel at any regularly, you'll know that I'm a person that struggles with prog. I actually had a pretty good time with this album. As Cedar Fish said, it's very dense, which again, a lot of prog is. But I found I was able to at least pick out stuff that was actually appealing to me throughout all the denseness. So I don't want to talk too much about my lowest rated tracks, but that interlude track is the lowest rated track for me, basically because it wasn't much other than about a minute long instrumental.
Tomato?
Yeah. Another song that was low rated for me was Stare Into the Abyss, track number 6, which also felt kind of like an interlude. And then at around the 2-minute mark, the music and vocals kicked in. It just wasn't that much going for it. But my strongest tracks were Bad Habits, track number 8, and the last track, Human as Hell, which TV Fish just went on about. So I'll talk about that a little bit more, about some of the stuff that I liked about it. The riffing's great. There's this one section which could have been synth, but I believe it was actually electric drums. It didn't sound like percussion, but it sounded like something from an electric drum kit, which I'm sort of familiar with, so that's I thought that was kind of cool. We divide songs into acts when we're talking about different sections, especially when it comes to prog. So long songs like this to me is 4 acts. So if you divide it into quarters, you'll get what I'm talking about. In the third act, it kind of broke down into this piano part, which is very common for stuff like this. Piano, some soft, clean vocals, and that kind of led and bled into the 4th act itself. The 4th act had this synth riff playing, and it played for a few bars, and then this guitar came in and took over the same riff that the synth riff was playing, and they might have been playing kind of in sync, the same like synth and guitar at the same time. Whatever was happening, it was very nicely done. The ending to me almost sounded like I'm an old school gamer. I grew up playing NES and SNES, but I remember beating some of those SNES games, and you get like this kind of like music at the end of the game, like the credits music. That's what the end of this song kind of reminded me of. Bit of a little fanfare thing. But one of the things that I really liked about this album, listening to it, was that I got a heavy sense of influence of like Rush. Like to me, Rush is like the founding fathers of progressive metal, progressive rock, progressive metal. Exactly. So I'm hearing certain songs like a song like track number 7, Prehistory. I hear heavy Rush influence in there. And Bad Habits, the next song, is one of my favorites on this album so far. Heavy Rush influence there. That song also, the solo in that song reminded me of something that Jimi Hendrix would play. So I'm hearing a lot of things that I feel like the members of this band grew up listening to this, and that
100%.
Yeah, that stuff is now translating into their art, and it's flowing through their music, and I can pick up on stuff like that, which I think is really cool.
You know, I found, and I mentioned this to you in our listening session, that this album kind of just goes over all the eras of kind of progressive rock and metal. Like there is a lot of Rush influence in here. I can hear a lot of Dream Theater.
Yeah.
You know, I made that note about Haken. Like you can kind of, it's like taking all the different aspects of progressive music and putting them into an album. You know, you got the long songs, you got the melodies, you got, you know, the riffs, you got the syncopation. Literally everything that makes prog music is this album, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah. So yeah, well, one more thing I just want to add here is a couple interesting parts that they also threw in Revolution in Limbo, track number 3, and in track number 7, Prehistory, are these parts that sound almost akin to something you hear at a Disney movie. I couldn't quite put my finger on exactly what it was, but The part in Revolution and Limbo sounds like something from maybe Aladdin or The Lion King. He said it sounds like something Middle Eastern. At first I said no, then I'm like, wait a second. I'm kind of hearing something from Aladdin, like something Arabian. Whatever it is, it's fucking interesting, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, again, this is something that I've always struggled with prog, is like, how come your songs are so sectioned? Why not just make 4 songs instead of one song that's 4 different pieces? But
well, I guess Human as Hell is a good example of making that work.
they make it work in a way that I guess appealed to me more than it normally does. So anyways, on a first impressions, not bad. Looking forward to the week.
Anyway, guys, there you have it. That's all we got for this first impressions today. So like the video if you liked it. Comment, tell us in the comments below, what are your thoughts on Colors 2? Is it as good or better than Colors 1? We love to hear your opinions, and we're going to listen to this album over and over and over throughout the next week and catch our review next week. I'm TV Fish.
And I'm Vile Self.
We'll see you guys later.